Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Xaereth Prevails. This is a new monthly series that I wanted to start with the sole intent of exploring the different meta teams and their various counters which can be applied in Grand Arena and Territory Wars and also in Arena. And, it doesn't necessarily mean that I know how to use all of the teams super well. You'll see that my Padme team, I'm still blundering a little bit, but, I do to get wins and I want to be able to show you guys how I go about that. In this particular episode, we're talking about Padme versus the Darth Revan, Darth Malak teams, and Commander Luke against the Relic 7 really strong General Skywalker team, as well as, at the very end, the ship's mirror match, which is currently a 6-star Negotiator versus 6-star Negotiator. So let's jump on into it. I am going to leave a link to my different mods for these teams in the video description just so you guys can go and check them out. I don't know that the link is going to stay super current. If I do change mods, it'll change. But I am using a Shock T team, Padme lead of course, but Shock T as the 5th. And you'll see that right away with Padme, she goes right after Darth Revan here. She takes her basic and that gives everyone bonus protection. That bonus protection in turn makes everyone immune to debuffs, and so when Badstilla goes, she's not able to land many debuffs, only on Shock T, and that's not quite enough to really deter anyone. I did experiment a lot with the opening move with Padme. She is relatively quick, and the best results by far were just using her basic. And now you see that sometimes I'm just taking my basic and characters are just kind of disappearing in a flash. That's because of the courage buff that I have at it's the top buff on the very left for most of these characters, with the little flexed arm. And after every 5 stacks, you do 40% of a character's maximum health in damage, and on top of the damage that you're already doing. And so you don't need a character who has a huge amount of natural offensive ability as long as you have a lot of stacks. And so you see that Shock T, she doesn't hit worth anything at any point really, on her natural hit, but just because she has a huge stack of courage means that characters just disappear. And you can see the same applies for Jedi Knight Anakin, even though he already does have a lot of a natural offense. At Relic 7 he does a lot of damage. He is also doing a lot of damage with his courage. Now the thing that makes this fight the trickiest, however, is because you're trying to do health percentage damage against Malak. It doesn't really work. Like, he's immune to that for the most part. Like, you do a pittance of damage, and so courage doesn't really affect him. You have to actually take him out using physical damage, and the squad doesn't necessarily have a huge amount of that. Like Jedi Knight Anakin absolutely does, and the rest of them are all kind of hopeless. So that was one squad. The next squad is a little bit more traditional without the Geonosian Brood Alpha. Only gear 12 on Sith Trooper, I realize, but we're climbing in Arena. We're not seeking out the hardest matchups necessarily. We're just trying to climb, and this was the highest matchup I had available, so that's what I'm showing here. So once again, you'll see that Padme was able to, shoot using her basic, give everyone protection up. Everyone did eventually get debuffed again. However, once Padme got another turn, she was able to dispel all of that. And all of those different debuffs that were on the characters from her special ability that she was using were turned into stacks of bonus protection. And so once they take a turn, those stacks of bonus protection then turn into courage, and courage in turn allows us to one-shot characters a lot. And so you see all these different characters using their stacks of courage to be able to just take out characters in one hit. One thing you have to be cautious about, though, is you see Anakin has the debuff of fear against this team. If you hit Malak and you don't have any kind of debuff protection, you'll get feared, and your character just won't be able to take its next turn unless he gets hit or put some damage on. Now you'll note that with Shock T, I did put stealth onto Jedi Knight Anakin just to keep him alive a little bit. If Jedi Knight Anakin gets taken out early on, or really at almost at any point, then you're probably going to end up losing the entire match, just because it's really hard to, you need that damage, and even more than that, you need his health immunity that he can apply. And so you'll see I'm kind of messing around here. I don't have a huge amount of experience using this Padme team, and I'm just trying to figure out the exact right combination. Like, should I try to take Malak out at any point before or after these different characters? And almost always the answer is like you want to contain Malak, you want to stun him if you can, and you just want to keep him contained until the rest of the team is gone, and then you can just focus him down. So I was fortunate there. I didn't lose anyone. That doesn't always happen, of course, but that was a pretty decent result. Obviously, I got the win. So moving on, I was excited to have a chance to test against Relic 7 General Skywalker. He did not take any of his mods off for this fight, and so this is a pretty genuinely strong team. And of course, I'm going to use Commander Luke here. I guess there's not any like of course, but I did want to try this team out instead of using Padme. And my highest relic level on this team is actually 5. Both Han and Chewie both have relic 5. And the next highest is like relic 2 with Commander Luke, and then like C-3PO has relic 1, and Old Ben is still gear 12. So we're not doing anything too crazy here. We're just trying to be able to take out 5s first. Once you get the topple on General Skywalker, you want to take out 5s first, and then after that you want to take out Rex. Once you take out Rex, then you can take out Echo and the ARC Trooper, whatever you want to do. And so I actually opted to use Old Ben there. Instead of putting his taunt up, he had one chance to be able to just take out the last ARC Trooper, so we didn't have to topple Skywalker one more time. Now you'll note that it's a little bit harder to take out Skywalker here, just because days went up on Chewie, but it ended up being a non-factor for the most part. So there we go, and we're up to number 7, so 2 more hits remaining. Alright, so I did not target the fastest guy in the shard just because I didn't have to. This guy is fast enough and has a really strong team. They're all Relic 7 and not necessarily a squad that we want to have to deal with. And so, you see that they're getting a ton of debuffs on me, and, I'm getting some hits, and Padme just got destroyed there right away. And I've learned from long experience, if Padme loses that early on, you may as well just quit. So I did quit, and we just jumped right back into this battle here. So Padme goes, she shoots her basic, and everyone gets the bonus protection up. That's all gone now. It was either dispelled or beat out of us, but you'll see that Padme this time was able to survive. And so we're just trying to get by here. We're trying to take out Bastila first, just because she's the source of a ton of debuffs and a lot of the issues that are caused by this squad, frankly. If you can take Bastila out, then she's not going to be buffing Darth Revan anymore. She's not going to be debuffing any of our characters anymore. And so if we can take her out right away, that's a huge bonus. Next, you want to take out HK if you can, just because he does extra damage against Jedi, and his one shot can literally just like one shot at General Kenobi at full health. It happens pretty consistently. Sith Marauder is a huge threat against Darth Revan teams. It's not as much of a threat, I've noticed, against this Padme team. For whatever reason, it just doesn't reach the crazy amounts of damage that he attains against Darth Revan teams. So we were able to take out the rest of the team relatively easily this time, and now we're just trying to find a way to take out Darth Malak. And we don't have General Kenobi anymore, and we want to keep away from the Force drain and everything from Malak. And it's just really tough. Like, he's Relic 7, and we're trying to do as much damage as we can. Luckily, we have 3PO still alive. We're doing a lot of armor-piercing damage, and we did get through him relatively easily. And We're down to this last one. Unfortunately for you guys, my turn today was not going to be number 1, so we don't get to hit the General Skywalker team this time, unfortunately. However, we do get one more crack at a Darth Revan team, and this one is another one with, it's kind of substandard. It's strange. As not only does it have the Geonosian Brood Alpha, it also has the Jedi Anakin, which is strange. I don't know if I've ever faced this at any point with any team, and so I guess it's an interesting showcase for this. My opponent wasn't the best modded, but immediately they took out my Shock T, and I need to put more relics on her. I think she's at relic 2 right now, or relic 1 or 2. She's just a freshly gear 13, so that will happen eventually. But right now I'm farming Arc Trooper, so probably not too soon. And so, I wasn't really sure how to approach this match. A lot of the times I was just kind of locked into attacking the Brute just because he was taunting, and I don't have a great way to be able to dispel that except with Shock T, or Jedi Anakin's AoE, of course, which he just used. And my target is always going to be Bastila, just because she's kind of the crux to this whole problem. And then Jedi Anakin, he's relic 5. I figured I wanted to probably take him out pretty soon, and he's not protected by anything. Like, he doesn't have really any good synergy with the squad, and so I figured I'd take him out. But when I had the opportunity to take out their Darth Revan with stacks of courage, I just did. One thing to remember, guys, is that when you're attacking Darth Revan, you can't call assists against him. Like, if you have a couple different mass assist attacks that you can do, you can't call someone to attack Darth Revan, though. Like, you have to just personally do it. And luckily, you can usually do some kind of AoE against Darth Revan and take out his protection. And then later on, if you have stacks of courage, all you need is, like, if you can have 10 stacks of courage, you can usually just finish him off. And so, that was the goal here. Once again, we're down to Malak, however. And Malak is, he's just tough to kill. He's got a lot of combined health and protection, and he killed Padme there, and usually that's just kind of the death knell for us. It's kind of strange, though. My General Kenobi was still alive, and Padme wasn't, which usually the opposite is true. But Darth Malak was so close to death that I was able to finish him off even without Padme. So kind of lucky there. Got number 2, which is our spot for the day. And now all we've got left is ships. So, I'm showing you guys some screenshots here of my opponent's really well reliced, really well geared team here. Bosk is relic 4, and that's the lowest that you can find on almost any of his pilots. He has always had extremely, extremely strong ships, and everyone's got the really high mods as well. So here, what we're trying to do, it's going to be a toss-up. My General Kenobi is relic 7, his is 7. We're the same speed, and so if RNG gives him the first turn, we want to make sure that his first turn is going to be used giving his team buffs and not shooting days at us. And so we did get the first turn. However, if he had gotten first turn, he still would have put the unkillable buff on Jedi Anakin, just to preserve him. So that was the goal there initially. And after that, you want to take in Clone Sergeant, just because Clone Sergeant is you want some kind of a taunting tank, I should say. Clone Sergeant is one of them, and I like him just because he has synergy with the rest of the Negotiator fleet. And anyway, so you call in Sergeant and you try to take out Houndstooth. Now, unfortunately, Houndstooth did get a turn pretty quick, and before that, my opponent's team called in Plo, which dispelled all of the different debuffs on Houndstooth, and so it was going to be a lot harder of a fight than I had originally planned on. Now the thing that you want to really be doing, like once Anakin gets hurt a little bit, he gets his buff. You want to bide your time until he comes out of stealth and he doesn't have his unkillable buff anymore, and you want to focus everything on him because he's the linchpin. If you can kill him, then you can usually just grind the rest of their fleet down. Now Ahsoka can do some pretty significant damage, and you can see she did that there against the Clone Sergeant, and that's unfortunate. But you just got to stay the course. Your own Plo can come in, dispel all the different days debuffs and everything, and then We're just trying to whittle these guys down. You know, a lot of these fleet battles can really kind of go wild. You know, there can be a formula if you have it practiced enough, and I've gotten it down pretty well so far, but it's definitely not always super consistent. And so, you know, really I probably don't want it to get super consistent until everyone's hit 7-star in Negotiator, which should be sometime next month. We should all have 7-star Negotiator, and after that we can practice this matchup for months and years until it's done. But until then, you know, just kind of gotta fly by the seat of our pants sometimes. And you know, I'm not falling very far in fleet these days, so number 1 is pretty attainable in a couple hits. And other than that, guys, I think that's it. I want to keep this video short, so please give me feedback in the comments. I would love to know if you want more of these kind of videos. And anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.